Okay, so we're back. Thank you everyone for staying with us. Our next speaker is Ms. Christiana Aristidou. She has been very active in the area of blockchain in Cyprus. She's a business technology lawyer, founder of Christiana Aristidou LLC, a law tech firm. She is a cyber member, a certified legal project practitioner, and very importantly, a national delegate to the ISO TC 307 Blockchain Committee, which is the ISO Committee on the Standardization of Blockchain Technologies, and an ITU member. She advises local international market players, including government bodies, payment institutions, financial investment entities in the digital field. She holds an NLB and 3 LLM degrees in common law, international commercial business, and computer telecoms law. Christiana is kind enough to discuss and share with us her knowledge on various real estate tokenization mechanisms and how these can be successfully implemented. Christiana, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyriakos. Good morning, everyone. It's really so nice to be here with you this morning. Actually, sharing knowledge and spreading awareness is what I love the most. So congratulations to Electi and Blockchain Technologies for this initiative. And thank you for the invitation. And of course, thank you all for your time and interest and for devoting your precious time to this event. I want to thank also George Theocharidis for his introductory speech, and Kyriakos Pavlou and Andrei Mihail for their excellent insights. So let's go see what is tokenization in real estate. So I will be looking into the steps, what it is, and into the steps and considerations for a successful implementation. Tokenization is the process of moving a real-world asset of any value, and that, of course, it includes real estate asset, to a digital form, to a token. This digital form is called token, and it is created or issued on blockchains by using the technology, the blockchain technology. Put it simply, the token developed on blockchain represents a fractional ownership in a real world asset or in a real estate asset. That token is actually the proof, that token is a computer code. And it is actually the proof that I, for example, own a bit of that specific property. So with this token operating on blockchains and allowing the flexible fractionalization of assets and securities into tokens, tokenization offers unmatched efficiency gains and opens investment opportunities like never before. So the real estate industry offers the ground for effective and beneficial use of tokenization. Indeed, tokenization has the prospect of refining the way people finance, invest in, sell, buy, earn income from, and deal with assets and rights to these assets. Let's see the benefits of tokenization. Fractionalization widens the pool of available investors. In other words, this means that real estate assets, which typically require and attract large investors, with tokenization may now be accessed by a wider pool of investors with smaller capital commitment requirements. The second benefit of tokenization, of course, is the efficiency gains. Tokenization naturally derives much of its promise from its underlying technology, blockchain, as we said, and smart contracts. Smart contracts are programmable and self-executing actions. They code business logic and terms and conditions recorded on blockchains that enable automation of processes. In the context of real estate investment and management, these processes range from investors' compliance and checks to income and rent management and distribution and dividend distribution. In this setting, smart contracts can be tailored to the characteristics of each token and property, and each process connected with such token and property. So high efficiency gains also emerge because of the effective settlement of transactions on blockchains. So blockchain enables the settlement of transactions and the transfer of tokens in a fast, transparent, and secure way, granting efficiency. It eliminates or at least minimizes the need for escrow services and accelerates the settlement of buying and investing in property. The other benefit of tokenization is security and transparency. We all know, and as Kyriakos shared with us before, blockchain is immutable, tamper-resistant, and secured by cryptography. Also, data is simultaneously shared across a network of nodes, ensuring transparency. One of the most important benefits of tokenization is liquidity. So real estate properties, especially large commercial properties, are illiquid, as they typically require large upfront investment. Transactions involving their disposal take considerable time to complete, and because they are standardized, they are not easily traded and disposed. But with tokenization resulting in the fractionalization of assets to a wider pool of investors, in turn, the efficiency and ease with which tokens may be exchanged due to their lower cost and lower valued investment potential enable their trading. Of course, trading tokens unlocks liquidity to previously, as we said, illiquid assets, and of course, flexibility. Fractionalization opens the door for more flexible and diversified investment portfolio and more flexible investment structures. This benefits property owners as well as investment managers and investors, of course. And how can we tokenize real estate assets? Tokenizing real estate assets encompasses numerous methods of tokenization. The optimal way to tokenize real estate assets is ultimately a business decision, which must follow the model and characteristics of each project. And it is based on how well one conducts the research and work in token economics or tokenomics. Tokenization is supported and secured by a crucial functionality offered by blockchain, the digital register of members, and that is very crucial. Change in ownership of tokens on blockchains is instantly reflected on the register. So the main ways to tokenize real estate are the following. I am referring only to the main ways. So first is tokenize the property itself. This means that ownership in a specific property may be represented in many fractions in the form of tokens. So guys, what we actually do is breaking down the specific property into pieces. So property is typically owned by one of a few entities, let's say. The capability of breaking down a real-life property, a real estate property, into many tokens opens the door for multiple entity ownership of properties recorded in a safe, secure, and efficient way. The second way to tokenize real estate asset is tokenize an ownership interest and or entitlement to share future profits, like the share one has in a company. They share in a legal entity that owns the property, or that owns another legal entity that owns the property. This method enables the indirect tokenization of property. Real estate property is owned by a legal entity. Investors receive tokens in the said legal entity. These tokens might be tokenized securities, for example, shares that are represented as tokens on blockchain, or tokens bearing ownership, or dividend entitlement rights to the said legal entity. In addition to this basic structure, it is possible to tokenize securities in an SPV, that is a special purpose vehicle, which is set up for tokenization purposes. In this scenario, the SPV owns an interest in the legal entity that owns the relevant property. The logic, of course, remains the same in either case, and regardless of the complexity of the structure. Let's move to the third way of tokenizing real estate asset. Tokenize debt secured by the property. Similarly with the previous method, this method, guys, offers indirect tokenization of property. Tokens represent a debt, an entitlement, for example, to receive the debt contribution plus interest, which debt is backed secured by the property. It is linked with the underlying property. In this case, as with typical debt investment scenarios, the property owner offers the property as collateral to the tokenized debt. The debt may be also secured by any revenue flowing to the property. An example of tokenized debt would, of course, be a tokenized bond. The fourth way to tokenize a real estate asset is tokenize a right to income from the property. The flexibility of tokenization is exemplified by the range of tokenization options. In this case, instead of tokenizing the entitlement to future profits, like a dividend entitlement, as in the case of shares we mentioned before, the token issuer may tokenize an entitlement to property income, such as a rent. Tokenization steps. The implementation of a tokenization process is a complex and demanding endeavor, requiring careful legal, business, technical, and financial consideration, of course. For your convenience, I present the basic steps of the process, starting from designing the tokenization to trading the tokens to secondary exchanges. The basic steps are as follows, as you see on the slide. Tokenization structuring, tokenization implemented on blockchain, token distribution, post-tokenization actions, and secondary trading. Let's see structured tokenization. So, designing the structure of the token issuance and offering, and of the vehicles supporting the This structure is of course of fundamental importance. Before considering the ways to structure a prospective tokenization, issuers are advised to consider the benefits obtained by this process. Thus, the first thing to do is to identify the objectives of a potential tokenization and the ways these are met by such a process. As demonstrated above, there are many ways to structure the relevant token and the rights attached to such tokens, such as ownership rights, profit entitlement rights, etc. Essentially, at this stage, the issuer must decide the terms and conditions of the issued tokens and the type of tokens issued. Securities, for example, debt, direct ownership rights to property. At the same time, the issuer must decide the corporate structure of the tokenization. This entails various considerations. The issuer must consider the type of legal entity and structure that will carry out the tokenization, the target investor base, to identify the targeted investors or investor base, the issuer must consider the nature of each real estate market, especially in relation to the use of blockchain and token-based platforms to identify active and interested investors. In targeting investors, issuers must also set the amount of capital commitment. The target base will determine the expected demand and investment raising and the potential liquidity of the tokenized assets. Next, they must consider the type and structure of the legal entity and the investor base influence the choice of jurisdiction, of course, the country of the establishment, let's say, of the company that will issue the tokens. The jurisdiction of the legal entity carrying out the tokenization determines the applicable regime and framework and the associated legal and regulatory obligations, especially by reference to securities laws. The targeted investors impact the applicable laws and regulations for the issuance, marketing, and offering of tokens to such investors. The type of token and the jurisdiction involved and the targeted investors determine at large the applicability of laws and regulations. The applicable laws and regulations impact the tokenization structure in that potential licenses and authorizations might need to be obtained by competent authorities, and policies might need to be prepared and implemented so as to ensure compliance, KYC, AML processes, investors' checks, data protection. An overarching consideration is the tax implications, depending on the structure of tokens, it being security-based or bond-based structure or direct tokenization of property, and the involved jurisdictions. The project will give rise to the application of different tax. Accounting obligations are also significant to determine at this stage. Valuation of tokens and estimates on the return of the tokenization are also significant considerations. Structuring the tokenization relates to the question of token valuation and making informed estimates about the levels of investment capital contribution, liquidity prospect, and investor demand, depending on the identified target investor base and chosen jurisdiction. These are preliminary points that must be addressed before bringing the project to the blockchain platform. As you may see, this stage involves the indispensable contribution of legal and tax advisors, financial advisors, evaluators, real estate professionals, and of course, blockchain market experts. So now let's see how tokenization is in fact implemented on the technology, on blockchains. After planning the structure of the tokenization, the process must move to the actual blockchain implementation. At this stage, the inside of blockchain technologists, blockchain experts, as well as blockchain professionals in general, is of course crucial to implement blockchain and smart contracts of high quality based on the appropriate type, permission, permissionless, with the optimal functionalities depending on the precise tokenization model and structure, as we said, and the token economics discussions and decisions that took place before. So one significant feature and capability of blockchain in this context is a digital register of members, and this is what I shared with you before. This register is implemented on blockchain, as we said, and records all changes in the ownership of the tokens. Given that these are made on blockchain, they will benefit from blockchain's immutability and tamper resistance. This will enable the trading and exchange of tokens in a secure way. Tokens owners are recorded on a secure, immutable, traceable, and transparent ledger. Smart contracts, these computer codes that we referred to before, may also digitize and automate processes which are currently lengthy and inefficient. To enable the smart contract functionality, smart contracts must be coded very carefully. The technical implementation and the recording of the coded and the recording of the terms of such contracts are very significant. This means that expert legal advisors and blockchain technologies and programmers must cooperate to construct useful, effective, and compliant smart contracts that will enable the execution of agreed real-life terms and conditions and compliant policies, such as those I shared with you before: AML, customer investor due diligence, KYC, data protection, etc. We now go to token distribution, and I'm concluding shortly. So token distribution, this constitutes the stage where tokenization actually materializes. In accordance with a chosen corporate and token structure and based on the designed technology, the tokenization will take place. As explained at this stage, the issuer will have set up any company to give effect to the designed corporate structure, will have obtained any needed licenses and authorizations, will have identified its investor base, and will be able to market and offer the tokens for sale, acting in compliance with applicable laws and regulations, as legally advised based on the targeted investors. The issuer will have identified all tax implications in accordance with expert tax advice and will be able to apply the applicable tax. Will have decided the terms for the offered tokens, including any ownership or dividend entitlement rights or any bond-related rights. Furthermore, the issuer will have made all relevant token evaluations. Therefore, it will have made all necessary fee structures in accordance with financial advice. The issuer will have the relevant blockchain technology in place with the necessary software for the digital register of members that could be customized for the specific issuer, or the issuer may decide to be hosted on existing platforms. So, as I said, issuer will have the relevant blockchain technology in place with the necessary software for the digital register of members as designed by the expert technologies that will be hired for this purpose. Lastly, the issuer will have implemented at this stage smart contracts for the execution of any investor boarding policies, and will thus be in a position to execute and implement the tokenization and begin the actual marketing and offering, and then token issuance to interested investors. Post-tokenization actions take place, of course, following this. After tokenization, there are still some significant actions that need to be taken to ensure the seamless and smooth operation of all pending actions. The settlement for the token issuance will be executed on blockchain. Again, this will be made in a fast, automatic, and safe way. The terms of the tokens will provide for some kind of distribution to the investors, either in the form of dividends or as payment of bond through coupons or any other form of reward in accordance with the token that has been issued. Such distribution may be executed on smart contracts. Also, any other voting rights or other similar rights may also be executed on smart contracts. In general, all actions after the tokenization may be placed on blockchain and smart contracts and may thus be executed in this way. The trading of tokens on crypto exchanges is one of the most significant aspects of tokenizing real estate assets. While not necessarily in all tokenization projects, secondary trading has significant value creation scope for real estate. As explained, trading tokens unlocks the illiquid real estate market, creating the scope for liquidity. The current real estate market, with lengthy transaction processes and high investment requirement, leaves little scope for the trading of real estate interests to flourish. On the contrary, tokens could result in significant trading opportunities on secondary exchanges. Secondary trading is appealing in the real estate context because it offers liquidity and also exit options for investors. Enabling secondary trading means selecting appropriate exchanges with appropriate security and compliance controls, and with recorded significant and developed trading activity. Again, to make the correct crypto exchange selection, the involvement of market experts, legal and financial advisors, and technologists is essential. So, concluding, and I'm closing here. Tokenizing real estate offers significant value creation potential. There is no doubt. Yet, it is not an easy or simple task. You may have questions later which will not be easy to answer. It requires the collaboration of legal, tax, financial, accounting advisors, technologists, programmers, and blockchain experts, and of course, real estate market experts. So any question, in order to be answered, may involve the cooperation of all these professionals. So I have set up the process in various stages here for you that reflect the development of a potential tokenization project, starting from structuring the project, moving the project to the blockchains, handling the token distribution, executing post-tokenization actions, advertising, marketing, and enabling secondary trading of tokens. The main considerations that the tokenization project should follow are type of real estate to be tokenized, and an identification of any attached interest to relevant real estate property. If you want to take notes of this, please do. Otherwise, just ask me to share this with you. To anyone, I will share. So, type of real estate to be tokenized and identification of any attached interests to relevant real estate property. Way to tokenize asset, security, bond, appropriate structure, fund, SPV, and the jurisdiction, identity, target investor base, token valuation, capital commitment valuation, license and authorization based on securities laws and regulations, tax considerations, reporting obligations in accordance with applicable securities laws and accounting obligations, smart contracts to define the token rights and to implement the token sale, investor onboarding policies, including AML, KYC compliance, and investors accreditation requirements, smart contracts to implement investor onboarding, digital register of members to keep track of the token holders and resales, and lastly, selection of secondary trading venue and compliance with such venue requirements. That is, guys. Thank you very much.
Christiana, thank you very much. We have one question and then we need to move forward quickly. So how do you tokenize the shares in the SPV company which owns the property asset?
The SPV, I mean, it depends, the tokenization depends on the tokenomics, as I said, token economics and decisions based on the model. I mean, we need to look at the investor base. We may have some opportunities even to discuss with investors that plan to invest, I mean, who are in our investor base, and decide what it is most suitable for us. Tokenizing shares, any other securities, bonds. I mean, there are pros and cons for each decision. So I can't really say, because it depends, as I said, on a holistic approach.
Just to add to that, if people are interested in like the mechanisms of how the SPV works, there is a report by Deloitte called "Applying Blockchain in Securitization." It actually it goes through like the whole. So I'm just gonna.
Great, thank you, Kyriakos, for sharing that.
Yeah. So you can just look it up online. It actually describes like steps for the SPV.
Yeah, but you know, any people who want to ask questions, I mean, through email or they can write to Electi or Blockchain Technologies, and we will reply.
Yes, of course. Goes without saying. Thank you so much, Christiana, for the very informative presentation, and we'll move to the next session. Thank you.
Thank you.